Hey, Carrie, you're going to have to let me know if you can hear me okay. Am I too loud? Am I too quiet? Uh, yeah, let me know how the audio is, and then I'll get to your question. I'm assuming that you've seen if you're asking these questions. Awesome. Uh, yeah, so where do I think season one will end based on the campaign episodes? Well, if we look at the episode title of the finale, it's called the Zadash Job. And if you've seen the campaign, then I think you know what that's in reference to. So, um, I don't know if they're going to do the same exact way, but in the campaign, they broke into somebody's house to steal something. And at the same time, there was like the whole attack on Zadash that happened at the same time. And they went down to the sewers. So I think those events are going to be where the season one finale kind of, those are going to be the events of the season finale, I think. Could be wrong, but that's my thought. Hello, everybody who is here. I think it's just a couple of us tonight, which this is kind of like a very impromptu live stream. So, yeah, it's Friday. People got some things to do, but yeah, I've tried to be like very careful during my reactions to not give anything away for people who might just be watching the series for the first time and maybe haven't watched the actual campaign. I'm aware that most people probably have watched the campaign who are watching the show. However, I think there are fans who found Critical Role from The Legend of Vox Machina. As a fan, like I watch other people who do reactions to the show, and there's some people who don't know about Critical Role at all, and they just saw there was a new show coming out on Amazon Prime, and they started watching The Mighty Nine. So like those people do exist. And so I try to be careful during my reactions to not like just straight out spoil things from the campaign. But Carrie, how are you liking The Mighty Nine so far? And also, how are you liking my reactions? I have a thick skin. I can take the feedback. And don't mind me, I have 2 drinks. I have my fun drink in the Is It Thursday Yet flask, not flask. And then I got just some good water. Actually, while we're sitting here, I think it might help if I actually share this on the Twitter. I need to advertise. Yeah, I have a similar feeling. Like, you know, I don't know. I might, there's first episode just out of the blue because I like the energy of the cast not knowing like who the other cast members are playing. And so their energy about being excited about seeing what everybody else is doing is a lot of fun. How long have I been a fan? I've been a fan. Let's see. So, let me get into a little bit of background on how I found Critical Role. Give me 1 second. Okay. I think I've advertised in enough spots. Okay, so my background, I don't know, I might have myself muted when you said that you're going to rewatch the campaign. I also sometimes will just rewatch the campaign, and more specifically, I'll go back and watch the first episode of the second campaign just so I can see all the different the cast figuring out who everybody else is playing. That's a lot of fun for me. As far as how long I've been a fan, so I had some friends back in 2018, I think it was 2017, who asked me if I wanted to play D&D. And I, at the time, this channel is called Movieverse, so I was really into going to the movies, and I have a lot of videos on this channel about like movie talk shows where we talk about like movie news, very much like in the vein of like John Campea and the Schmoes and a lot of these other channels that were going on back in the day. And so at the time, like I considered myself to be a nerd. I collected movies, I collected comic books, those sorts of things. I had like a like collection, kind of like Loot Crate, but it was like Marvel's version of that, and DC also had a version that I was subscribed to for a while. So I have a lot of like little trinkets from those. And so I had already considered myself a nerd, but when I was asked if I wanted to play D&D, I was just like, I don't know. I still had like this like I had that stigma in my head about like, oh, that's a different level of like nerdom that I wasn't really ready for. And but because they asked me if I wanted to play D&D, I got curious, and I, just searched on YouTube like how to play D&D. And I watched some videos of how to play D&D, but then I also found a small video series called, oh shoot, I'm blanking on it right now. There was a video series of different actors who were playing D&D. It wasn't the celebrity D&D. It was Forrest Gray. That's what it was. Forrest Gray. It had Deborah Ann Wall in it. It had Joe Manganiello in it. It had some other people in it that I'm not. Ukarsh was in it, who made an appearance during Campaign 3. But I knew Deborah Ann Wall from Daredevil because I was on Netflix at the time. I had heard of Joe Manganiello. I'd never watched True Blood, but I had heard of him. I think it was around the same time as like him doing like a cameo in, was it Justice League, where he cameoed as Deathstroke. And so I watched that little series, and it was like bite-sized D&D where it was like 20-minute episodes, I think. And it was kind of chopped up to be bite sized. And I remember thinking like, oh, this is a lot of fun. Obviously, having a couple actors that I recognized like lent some credibility to it. But then I was just like, man, that guy who's running the game is like incredible. Like the way that he's narrating the scenes and like voicing these different characters that come into contact with our main characters, I really loved. And so I'm like, what else has he been in? Like, I don't know this guy. And I searched, his name, Matt Mercer, and then Critical Role popped up, and it just like opened up a whole different world for me. And this was around 2018, so second campaign had already started, but I saw that they had, a first campaign, and so I was just like, okay, well, I'm going to start with the first campaign, and so I blew through campaign 1, and then I started getting caught up on campaign 2. And I remember there was at some point where I kind of was just like getting impatient with trying to catch up with campaign 2. So then I read a lot of like Danny's articles about like what happened in previous episodes and like her like snippets of like of kind of like recaps and stuff like that. And so I watched a lot of those to get caught up and then watched from there on. Since then, I have gone back and like watched those beginning episodes that I missed out on. But yeah, I've watched all of campaign 1, 2, and 3. I've seen all the EXU stuff, whether you believe that or not, from me missing out who already blanking on his name, the pirate from episode 6. I was like, man, that voice sounds familiar, but I couldn't place it. And of course, it was Lou Wilson. But yeah, so I've been a fan since 2018. And when I found it, I dove headfirst into it, just like most people that I know. And since then, like I've been playing D&D. I run D&D. I've gotten another friend of mine into D&D as well, and into Critical Role as well. So I spread the gospel wherever I go at this point. Nidus, yeah. I was like, who is this pirate? Like it would seem like so random. I was just like, am I supposed to know a pirate or whatever? Because I guess I don't know. I guess my brain just like was thinking back like when I was watching Calamity. I don't know. I guess I just missed the descriptor of him being a pirate, and so and I didn't remember his name. And so when they said like pirate Nidus, it did not register with me. But then I started like watching actions and stuff like that, and yeah, then I caught on. But it's just like, oh yeah, like that's right. And I think it's so cool that they are adding these characters from like the EXU Calamity series and just sprinkling them in to like the lore of the world in the animated series. Because I mean, they can, like, why not? Yeah, I feel like Lou has a pretty distinctive voice, and like I recognize the voice, I just couldn't place it. Anyways, how do you guys like my background? I've got a lot of Critical Role figures. I do have Ford and Bo. Those are the only Mighty Nine characters that I have in my Sideshow statue collection. It was getting very expensive, so I had to slow down. But I also have, I mentioned it in my reaction today, I do have a copy of Tusk Love. I won't grab it real quick. There it is. There's the beauty. I'm not a huge reader of romantasy. I have read a couple romantasy books, but I will admit, I did not physically read the book. I bought the book, but then I listened to it on audio. I have more time to listen to audiobooks than I do reading. To be fair, I think they only compared him to a pirate a few times in EXU when his first mate had the fun running with him. Yeah. I'm jealous of your CR collection. I have a first art book, and that's it. That's about it. Yeah, I will say I really struggle whenever Critical Role comes out with new merch. I impulse buy quite a bit. I mean, I got my little tarot sweater here, which is really nice. Speaking of art book, that's behind me too, right? Yeah. Let me get this real quick. So I took this art book with me. I went to Chicago in April to see the Critical Role live show in Chicago, and I also went to C2E2. And so I got to meet the entire cast at C2E2. I had great seats at the live show, and it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. But what I did when I went to C2E2, I was like, I need something that I can get the cast to sign. And so I took the art book, Tale of Vox Machina #1, and I got the cast to like sign the first page of their art for each character. So now I'm just showing off a little bit. So going to C2E2 was a lot of fun. Man, they left all their sticky notes in here. But so I had a great time. I guess the only character that didn't get signed in this book is Tiberius. Yeah. So it was a good time. And when I let me put this back up real quick. So like I said, I met the entire cast. However, when I met Travis and when I met Liam, they both were like, have we seen you before? Like, do we recognize you for somewhere? And I was like, well, yesterday I did earlier in the day I did the photo op with the entire cast. And they're like, no, like, do you do reactions? And I was just like, yeah. And they're like, oh yeah, we watch all your reactions. And I was just like, wait, what? Blew my mind. I was like, I don't know. Because I'm a small channel. I get some views. I don't get a ton of views. So the fact that, if they're watching my channel, it means that they actually do watch like all the reactions. Like I've heard them talk about it before, about how they like to watch reactions, but they definitely watch reactions, even from small channels. So I appreciate that from them. You live in Canada, so probably never get to meet the cast. Hey, you know what? Keep holding out hope because they've been traveling. So they very might. No, it might be likely that they go to Canada. Same. Not only is it beautiful merch, it's great quality. Their crew socks are my favorite winter. You know what? I haven't bought their socks, but I can tell you that I have multiple hoodies. I have a beanie from them, a ton of t-shirts. And I agree, like the quality of their merch is like next level. Like it's actually comfortable. Hot Topic and stuff, especially when it came to like comic book movies, I would always buy stuff from Hot Topic to wear. And it was always like scratchy and like just, I don't know, never really fit right. But Critical Role's merch is like next level. I swear Travis watches every reaction channel that does CR. I'm pretty sure that that's accurate. Yeah, it blew my mind when, especially like Liam is probably like one of my favorites of the cast members. I feel like there's a lot of similarities between his story and mine, and so I have a lot of respect for him. And when he recognized me, I was just like, oh, like that's crazy. Because Travis told me that he watched my reactions first, and so like that blew my mind. But then to hear a second cast member say that they've seen my reactions, and like not just that they've seen my reactions, but like they recognized me from my reactions. That was crazy. When did you guys find Critical Role? Somebody asked me when I found Critical Role, and I said 2018. So when did you guys find Critical Role, and what was your watch order? Have you seen all the campaigns? Did you start with campaign 2? I know that a lot of people like campaign 2 is their favorite campaign, and I think it is a situation of like they definitely found their footing before the second campaign, so they were able to put more into it. But because I watched the first campaign first, the first campaign still holds like a very like special place in my heart. So campaign 1's my favorite, but I also like campaign 2, campaign 3. I am behind on campaign 4. They had an episode last night. I'm 3 episodes behind on campaign 4. I need to get caught up. Something I was just thinking about. I have some mead that I'm drinking. However, I do have Sandcake's Hide, and I also have Courage over here. I should have gotten one of those out. Seeker Relics. I was a fan of Will Wheaton's tabletop series, and then he did a TTRPG series whose name escapes me now that had Laura in it. Okay, yeah. So you were like part of the Geek and Sundry crew before like Critical Role was a thing, or during Critical Role. Carrie, you found them in 2016. I am jealous. I wish I could have found them that early. I think maybe that's why I like campaign 1 so much. And I still do like campaign 2. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like watching campaign 1, even though I didn't get to watch it live, it was like, don't get me wrong, you gotta get through like the first 20 something episodes. But there was something like so pure about like watching the show grow, and like, you know, when they first sold shirts for the first time, and I think they like made 100 or something like that, and it sold out like in 30 seconds, and like seeing their reaction to that, and then like realizing like how important this show was to people even then when they were first starting out. Like there's something like there's that magic there that I really loved. And even in campaign 2, when, you know, they were doing when they were still like actually doing it live on Thursday nights, you know, I remember, you know, I still work at the same job that I did back then, and I would like hoard my PTO, and then like near the end of the year, I would start taking like every Friday off, and I would just like be watching like live Thursday night when I had the next day off, and that was a lot of fun. And so like, if I have one criticism of like today's Critical Role, and I understand why it's pre-recorded, I understand all that stuff, but I do miss a little bit of the magic of like it being live. Seeker. So when I saw Geek and Sundry doing a D&D series, I thought I'd check it out. I got caught up, and my first live episode was Dinner with the Briarwoods back in 2015. Wow. Oh my gosh. What a episode to get to be caught up with to watch. That's crazy. It was very funny watching them unwrap gifts from the fans live and start realizing how huge this thing they were doing was getting. Yeah. Like I remember that too. Like, I've even gone like, there's people who have like kind of archived like the old like Periscope videos where they were like when they started opening up gifts off of the mainstream because they had been getting so many gifts that they couldn't justify keeping like the Geek and Sundry crew there that long to like open up gifts. Like Matt getting like the gargantuan red dragon that he used for Thordak. I mean, and then he ended up getting like by the end of it, he ended up getting like multiple of them. It's crazy. Carrie, I remember telling my parents about their story when they were climbing up through the Titan. Matt's imagination blew my mind. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like Matt's imagination is what got me into Critical Role because I was just like, man, this dude is incredible. Like, what else did he do? And then that's how I found Critical Role. Matt had more dragons than he could use. Yes, for sure. For sure. He tried. He tried at the beginning of the Chroma Conclave arc. He's like, here's 4 ancient dragons. That still might be one of my favorite. I don't know. It's so hard to choose a favorite moment at the table. But the fall of Amon by the Chroma Conclave, like that is a moment that is way up on my list. Do you guys have any favorite CR moments since I brought it up? Gonna put Tusk Glove back in its hidey hole. Since Carrie, I think, was the only one here at the beginning, they asked me where I thought the first season was going to end. And I basically said, just to get everybody caught up, I basically said that, that title of that last episode is the Zadash job. And so I think, they're going to be, I don't know if they're going to do it the same way, but basically, when they did they broke into somebody's house just to steal a thing. My mind's a little fuzzy on the details, but they broke into somebody's house to steal something. That guy was trying to get revenge on somebody. And then like the Tri-Spires were attacked. I think that's where we're going with the season 1 finale. I think the season 1 finale is going to end with them in the sewers finding the beacon. Jester's tarot card reading. Carrie, do you mean when Molly first gave her tarot card reading and she was just kind of like eating it up? Seeker. Level 9 counterspell still hits me pretty hard to this day. Oh, yeah. You mean like Scanlan at the end of campaign 1 where he has to counterspell instead of holding that to do wish? Yeah, that was pretty. I mean, Scanlan had so many great moments in the campaign. I mean, Bard's Lament, like, come on. Like, what are we talking about? Bard's Lament is so amazing. I really hope that we're able to see something like that in season 4. Oh, when she did the reading for Lucian. Okay, I don't remember that one as much, Carrie. Seeker, yeah. I mean, you could tell like Sam was kind of upset. Like that was the whole thing. Is like they were so attached to those characters, and they were so attached to the Mighty Nine. I don't think they were as attached to the Campaign 3 characters, if I'm being honest. But yeah, you could tell that Sam was upset that he had to use the ninth level spell to counterspell instead of using it for Wish. That's crazy. Let's go pull though. I also will listen to like the Scanlan songs from the campaign. Like if I'm ever feeling down and I need like a pick me up, like I'll search like Scanlan songs on YouTube and then just watch the like compilations that people have put together of Sam doing his little improv songs. Yeah, I think that's what Sam does with his characters though, man. Like he just sorry, if you're not a man, I just say man a lot. Like I use it gender neutrally, but Sam likes to he always has like another layer to his characters. Like he'll always do one thing, but it's actually like another. And I don't know. I think for campaign 1, it was a little bit. I think it was a little bit of Matt like doing it, where the whole like, oh, I have a daughter thing. But then obviously like Sam did that in campaign 2 with Not. Her being one character, but then you find out something else. He had a little bit of that with FCG as well. The Essek reveal and the fallout from that at the one live show. Are you talking about the Essek reveal, meaning like when he's on the ship and he's like disguised as somebody else, but then lets down the disguise and they see that it's him? Is that what you're talking about? It's been a while since I've watched campaign 2, so I get a little bit fuzzy on some of the details. Hmm. Yeah, I'm curious. Okay. I also have theories. So this brought up a thought to my head, and I have a theory. So like, I've watched one of the YouTube channels that I really like is Nerdy Nightly. Him and Claris Polaris, like watching Vox Machina, Mighty Nine. And something that Nerdy said today, I actually just watched his reaction before doing this live stream. He was talking about how he doesn't see how a lot of the things that happened in campaign 2 are going to happen now because of the way that they've been handling Essek and who knows what and like this sort of thing. But I will say, during the episode, he's like working on a chalkboard with like equations and stuff like that, and he says that he's figured something out. And then Aedwolf and oh my gosh, it's a Friday for sure. My brain is fried. Astrid and Aedwolf like kick him out, right? And that chalkboard is still there with all of his work on it, right? I think one, Trent is now like the king's gonna be like, all right, Trent, like you have free reign, do what you want. Like you have found this out about it, about the beacon. Like what else can you find out about it? And he's gonna return to his study and he's gonna see that chalkboard and he's gonna see those equations and all that kind of stuff. And whatever Essek figured out is what Trent's gonna be trying to replicate, right? And so I think in season 2, we're gonna see that Trent enlists the help of a alchemist, and we're gonna find a tripod and a chair. Yeah, I think Trent does find a second beacon, Carrie. I think you're right. Because we know where one's going. Wisconsin sports fan. For me, Vox Machina were teammates. Bell's Hells were friends, but Mighty Nine were family. Vin Diesel couldn't have said it better himself, my friend. Yeah, Carrie. Yeah, I remember. There were multiple beacons. I even said that in one of my reactions recently. Was like, you know, it seems like at the beginning of this season, the dynasty is only aware of one beacon. They don't explicitly say this is the only beacon, but like, I don't know. It just made it seem like they were only aware of one beacon existing. But I think, yeah, the campaign there were multiple, and so I feel similar. Like they're going to find a second one because one's going to be stolen. Carrie says, I got my friend into CR after Mighty Nine and would tell her to let me know when she got to certain parts so I could come over and watch them with her. That is great. Watching an episode of Critical Role with friends is great. And I've done a couple of the what was it? Like the Campaign 3 premiere was in a theater and I watched that. They had some of the Bell's Hells, or not Bell's Hells, the Mighty Nine one shots in theaters, and I watched that. Some of the live shows that I couldn't go to. Watching a live show with multiple, like with huge crowds was incredible. I went to the Chicago live show. There was another live show in Indianapolis that I went to, which was a lot of fun. So like watching it with other critters is crazy. It's a lot of fun. Theater had connectivity issues. Man, that sucks. That is no bueno. Thankfully, my theater didn't have any issues like that, thankfully. But I did hear about other theaters having issues. Yeah, that would be a bummer for sure. Seeker, I do wonder if the focus on the singular beacon means the dynasty religion is a bit more secretive about the Luxon's nature in the series. Well, the Bright Queen did say to Essek, like, if they learn about the boons or the banes, like, she did mention that. So, it's entirely possible that the Kryn dynasty and the Bright Queen know a lot more about the beacon than what was told to us, like in the beginning of the series. But do you think we will meet Pumat this season? We better meet him next episode. Like they're going back to Zadash, and they're going to, give the compass to the gentleman. I'm assuming they're gonna get like Caleb's like protection amulet. And they also like got a bunch of gold from the job as well, just from what they found like in the cave. And so my hope is that we get to see them go to Pumat's. But I also think like they're gonna have to Like, how are they going to meet Yasha? Like, are they going to meet Yasha next episode, or are they not going to meet her until the finale? You know, I really liked like the scene from campaign 2, like when they're in Zadash and like they all go to like the bathhouse or whatever, because like they're all being like silly doofuses and whatever, and I love that, but I don't think we're gonna get any of that kind of stuff. They're in the Zadash. I don't think they get the beacon until they get to Rex and Trum. No. The Tri-Spires are in the Zadash, and they get the because they actually have in the campaign, they're doing a heist in Zadash. At the same time in Zadash, the Tri-Spires are attacked by the Kryn, and then they go underground into the sewers, and they actually run into one of the Kryn warriors in the sewers, and he has the beacon, and that's where they get it. Right? I mean, I'm second guessing my memory. Zadash, Tri-Spires. Yep, Tri-Spire is the wealthiest district in Zadash. Because I even looked this up when I was doing some video editing. Because I was trying to figure out like if I was correct, like what episode it was that they found the beacon, like what episode that all happened, and I think it was like episode like 12 or something. So end of season 1 is going to be like episode 12, episode 13 of the campaign. So, man, if you do that math, that's crazy. Because in campaign 2, it was like 141 episodes or whatever, right? So if they're doing like 12 episodes per season, it's not going to be that because they did like session 0 stuff. But I mean, even 14 episodes or 14 sessions per season would be crazy. Chastity's Nook after Jester mentioned it. I don't think that they are, because I mean the only reason why they would go to Chastity's Nook is to get Tusk Love, and they already got it. So like I'm wondering if Chastity's Nook was that like person that they, you know, oh gosh, mine's blanking, but I think where she got Tusk Love was like their way of like tip of the cap to Chastity's Nook, because that's where she got the book, right? So if they were going to go to Chastity's Nook, that's where she would have got the book. I just don't think that they probably don't have time in the show to do something like that, though I would love to see it. You could even make you could make an argument that they don't have time to go to Pumat's. Like, I can't imagine them not, right? But I did like the bit about the gentleman geeking out with her about the book. Yeah. The fact that they got Nathan Fillion for that role, it's crazy. I'm pretty sure they announced his name before, right? Like they announced that he was in the show, but didn't announce who he was. And when they announced him, like, I didn't even think about the gentleman. That didn't even pop up in my head. But then after I realized that's who he was playing, I was like, oh, snap. Like, that actually makes a lot of sense. But yeah, I think one of the things, like, you know, when you talk about adapting a D&D campaign to an animated series, one of the things that you do to cut out some of the time difference is like, okay, well, you're not going to have a bunch of shopping episodes, and you're not going to be, you know, like you're going to get rid of all that like middle bit, which like when you're watching a campaign, like you love that stuff, right? At least I do. Because a lot of like, you know, where the characters are just being fun. I I thought for sure Jonathan Frakes was going to be the gentleman. Yeah, wasn't he Bo's mentor or whatever? I'm blanking on his name. Z. I remember her calling him Z. Don't remember what his actual name was though. But yeah. So like we're not gonna get a lot of the the shopping episode stuff, but we need to at least meet Pumat once. If we don't meet Pumat once, we riot. Xenoth. Yep, Xenoth. That's right. Ooh, Easter. Good call. I actually think I think you might be onto something there. I think you're right. I think the gentleman says, hey, yeah, take this to this guy and he'll get you your amulet. And it's Pumat. Because that would make sense too, because Pumat was doing a lot of work for the Empire, right? Like he was commissioned for a lot of that stuff. So it would make sense that he would have that. Yeah, I think you're right, Easter. Didn't even think about that one. That was a good thought. Yeah, that'd be a good way to like have it happen, but not have it be like they're not going out of their way or they're not just randomly going somewhere. It's like they're handed a thing that takes them to a place to get the thing, sort of thing. I think that's a highly likely. And I think that's happening next episode. But so then does I mean, I keep coming back. Do we see Yasha meet the group next episode or the finale? What are you guys thinking? Next episode that Yasha meets the group or the finale? Because she's specifically looking for the beacon in the animated series. So it's either they cross paths next episode or they don't meet her until the sewers. I'm just trying to think of like, obviously right now the rune on her neck has a pretty good grasp on her. So then like what could cause that to like that power to weaken? Maybe if it was around a beacon and like there was like a beacon blast or something that like kind of dispelled it or something. I don't know. You think it's next episode, Easter? I mean, definitely like the end of this episode definitely kind of hinted that it was going to happen next episode. Seeker says, I'm thinking finale. She was looking for the mages, so the Tri-Spire attack will draw her out into the mix. That's also very valid. Yeah, I think that theory is the one that I ascribe to. Because I feel like, I think we might get like a, you know how like when we were at the carnival, we were getting the scenes where it's like, we're following one group of characters and then we see the other group of characters like walk behind them. Like they're just kind of like crossing paths, not knowing about each other. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what we get. Oh, I just thought about this because I actually said this in my reaction where I was like, you know, in the campaign, like the group went to the bathhouse and like Yasha was just there. What if they do go to the bathhouse and Yasha's just there, but they don't know who she is? But of course, like Jesser's going to see her and be like, oh, you're so cool. Like, come be our friend, blah, blah, blah. You know, like that sort of thing. But then like they go separate ways after that, right? And then they see her again in the sewers. That would be wild. I don't know. Just spitballing. But I think, yeah, for sure, it's like it would make more sense if they don't meet her until it's like they find the beacon. It's like, you know, it's the I know in the campaign, the Kryn warrior in the sewer was like fighting guards. We could still get the Bo Yasha standoff in the bathhouse. We could, yeah. But in the campaign, the Kryn warrior was like fighting guards. What if in the show, it's like the Kryn warriors are fighting Yasha, and she kills them, but then the group stumbles upon it, and then it's like, I don't know. There's got to be something there. Like I think there's going to be something where it's like there's a surprise that Yasha's in the sewers, and it could be more of a surprise of like, oh, it's that random person that we saw at the bathhouse. Like, what are you doing here? Sort of thing. Could be something like that. Yes, but she might be in the spire. Also possible. I don't know, man. I know that finale is going to be chaotic, though. I know that much. It's going to be like it's going to be like episode 1 of season 2 of The Legend of Vox Machina. Jason is in the chat. What is up, Jason? Everybody say hi to Jason. You will know him from our reactions to The Legend of Vox Machina. Unfortunately, our schedules could not align for the Mighty Nein, but showing up in the chat, gotta appreciate it. Could we get the flash of Yasha and Bo from the first episode? Carrie, what do you mean? I am confusion. Are you talking about the first episode of the series? From the beacon flashes. I'll be honest. I should have probably like gone back to watch the first episode and like pause on those flashes to actually like see what they were. I didn't. And they went by too fast for me to really see anything. They said in an interview that episode 5 and 8 were their favorite / best. So high expectations for the finale. Oh yeah. Very high expectations for the finale. I'll tell you what, episode 5 performed way better than I expected it to. Definitely the best performance of my reactions for the first season. So much love to you guys for watching that. Oh yeah, got excited about the 9 eyes. Yeah. And the fact that like we even saw them in what was that, episode 3 where they did the fight? Actually, you know what, guys? I could look it up right now. Beacon flashes in the first episode. Let me pull that up right now. Carrie, do you know where it was in the episode? Was it near the end? Let's mute this. All right, so yeah, it is at the end of the episode. Let me slow this down if I can, if it lets me. Oh yeah, Seeker. I know. I had that reaction. I think yeah, anybody who has seen the campaign. Oh, Jason, if you're still in here, man, we're gonna be getting into spoilers. So if you haven't watched the episodes yet, or if you don't want to be spoiled from the campaign, man, just be careful because we're talking all kinds of stuff. And Jason, if you haven't watched the first season yet, like, what are you doing? Take care, Jason. Talk to you later, my man. I almost called you my boy. I don't want to call you that. Oh, okay. I see what you're talking about. I see what you're talking about, Carrie. Okay. Yeah. I just saw it. Oh, interesting. I don't know. I think, well, because Essex said that it's like, it's like infinite possibilities, right? So, like, the first image that flashes up on the screen from the beacon is like King Dwindle being dead and Ikathon being king, right? So, like, that's obviously probably what Ikathon wants, but that doesn't mean that that's going to happen, right? So then the second flash is Molly. And then the third flash is, yeah, like sword going through bow. I don't know that that's going to happen. That'd be wild if they did that. But then we do see Isle Cross, which is cool. I do remember seeing that the first time around. Like, that's what caught my eye. I was like, oh, snap. We're already getting Isle Cross. And then it's Nine Eyes. Kadoa, appreciate you. 4 a.m., crazy. I'm just going to call you K. I hope that's okay. Yeah, I think a lot of those flashes of imagery was probably just like a alternate reality sort of thing. I don't know that it's actually going to be something that comes to fruition. Yeah, Carrie, I'll be honest with you. When they were going into the evening nip, like, my brain didn't even register that that's where all that happened. And so then when Kree showed up, I was like, oh, wait, yeah, that did happen here. Oh, snap. I said, oh, no. Yeah, I know. Well, that's the funny thing is I think because I was so caught off guard that was happening, that I even like forgot that they said their name was Kree. And then I started like guessing myself after I watched. And I was just like, wait, is Kree? Because I had a character who played, or I'm sorry, I had a friend who played a character named Kree in a campaign that I ran once, and they were an Aarakocra. So like I was thinking like, wait, Kree's not right. Kree was that character. It's not this character, but it was both. Obviously, when I recorded the reaction, my brain was fried. We also saw a fragment of possibility. Bright Queen executing Essek. I'm pretty sure that wouldn't happen. Yeah, that was in another scene too. That was when Essek was actually talking about the beacon and saying it's like every what was it? Every decision you've ever made and will make, sort of thing. Yeah, because I think that's what we were seeing is like images of like consciousness, right? Like, because I think for Ikathon, like he wants to be king, so that's why we see the little flash image of him being king with Dwindle being dead, and I think we see a flash of Essek being executed because that's like what he's afraid of. Like that's his inner like worry because he's done what he's done, that sort of thing. So, yeah. And then, I remember from the campaign, I think the first time that they found the beacon, I think Caleb looked into it and then he saw like, endless stuff. And they didn't really go into detail about what they saw in that moment, like in the campaign. But I think in the series, we're going to see I think Caleb is going to see some possibilities that he didn't know were possible. A la, like, wanting to bring his parents back and stuff. So, you know what? Because we're talking about it, I should probably change the title of this stream to spoilers. Maybe I'll do that after the fact. Yeah, I don't want to mess anything up, so I'll do that after the fact. But Yasha piercing bow happened in the campaign like 3 times, so I think it's pretty possible. Okay, those are just details I do not remember. Matt has said that he created Essek to be a villain, but didn't count on the Mighty Nine falling in love with him. I feel like sometimes the cast just likes to put Matt in like very difficult situations. And it's like, as soon as Matt described him, they're like, oh no, he's hot, right? And so, of course, they have the like, oh, he's a bad guy, but he's hot, so I can fix him sort of thing, right? So. I just got a subscription from a name that I cannot pronounce, but I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yasha was mind controlled too many times. Yep. Definitely. And I wonder if they're gonna have it happen that many times in the show as well, right? Where they're constantly having to bring her back from the edge. The power of Jester wanting to be your friend. Precisely. Man, guys, I just really want to see the cupcake incident animated. Like, obviously it's going to happen when you talk about what's going on with Not, right? So we have to see that. We're going to see that. There's no way they wouldn't put that in. I'm just excited to see it. From the Ukraine. Hello, my friend. I have many friends that are from Ukraine, so you're welcome here. Any guesses on which season the cupcake will happen? The problem with that Easter is like, what episode was that? I don't remember what episode that was. If we do get Pooh Matt, do you think Matt will do the voice? He has to. There's no way. But I mean, I also thought that about Gilmore, and we got somebody from Gilmore. But I will say, Gilmore plays a bigger role than Pooh Matt does. And so it made sense that they got someone to voice Gilmore. That and the ethnicity of the character and things like that. But they gave us a heads up that Gilmore was being voiced by somebody other than Matt, right? And so I feel like if they did the same thing with Pooh Matt, they would have given us a heads up. They would have allowed us to like be accustomed with the idea before the episode came out, right? Instead of people watching the episode, seeing Pooh Matt, and then be like, oh, that's not Matt, and it being like a whole thing, right? Quick Check says Cupcake was in episode 93. Okay, so let's plan this out. The first 2 episodes of this season were Session 0 stuff, right? And then episodes 3 through 8 were basically episodes 1 through 12. Oh, yeah, I do remember that clip where Matt was doing the Pooh Matt voice. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, good call. So if we're this isn't going to be the case, right? But if like we're mathing it out and they're doing like 14 episodes or 14 sessions per season, which I don't think that it's going to be that that accurate. What was it? You said 93 divided by 14. It would, if that is the case, it'd be like season 6, which ain't, I mean, they're not going to take that long, right? Ooh, is my mic clipping, guys? I just saw some red come up. If my mic is too quiet now, let me know, but I just turned it down a little bit so it doesn't clip as much. I'm trying to find a good balance of like voice to like some background music. Mic sounds okay to me. All right. I do remember the one time that me and Jason did do a live stream after one of the seasons of Vox Machina. Audio was kind of quiet. And so I want to make sure my audio is not quiet. So I want to make sure that my mic is loud enough for you guys to hear me without having to turn your volume up to 100, right? But also I don't want it to be clipping. So Pooh Matt face. I mean, coined it, right? Put it on a shirt and print it. What's that saying? Put it on a shirt and sell it? I don't know. One of those. Do any of you play D&D? Or do you just watch Critical Role? If you play D&D, what is the favorite character that you've ever played in D&D? Like your favorite build? Curious to know. I already know mine, I'll tell you, but Sam probably has. I mean, for sure, that face it has to be on a Sam shirt. Have we seen it before? I can't remember all of Sam's shirts as he's out on the live streams. Seeker, yeah, it was episode 12. I looked that up earlier today because I was like, I was trying to math it out. Easter, what's your favorite character? Kay says, I'm waiting for Caleb/Yasha interaction, of which we saw the script in Caleb's introduction video on TikTok. I don't remember that. Play a Tiefling Bard Eldritch Knight Fighter. Pretty happy with Bard Rogue. All right, so we got two Bard multi-classes. So my favorite build of all time that I've played. Actually, what's funny is I've played a cleric before, but I basically created like a oh shoot, I forget the subclass of cleric, but I was basically Thor. But that's not my favorite character. But that's like one of the main like casters that I've ever played was the cleric. But favorite build I've ever played was a Tabaxi swashbuckling rogue with just a little dip into fighter. And that build, a lot of fun. Because swashbuckling rogue has a lot of movement ability. And then you add on top of that, Tabaxi, at least in 2014 5e, had like a special ability where you could add extra movement. And then when getting hasted, I mean, it was just insane. I was basically the Flash. Never played D&D, got into Critical Role like half a year ago and binged season 2 in 3 months. Whoa, that is a lot, but I can relate. So have you only seen campaign 2 or have you also seen campaign 1, 3, 4? What's your background on that? Is this the Pumat face? I don't know. One of my party members is a Tabaxi rogue. Nice. Yeah, I found some art on like, I don't know if it was Google or if it was Pinterest or whatever, but I found art of like essentially like a black like house cat wearing like kind of like somewhat pirate gear, holding like a wine glass full of milk. I'm just like, that is my character. Seeker, favorite D&D character is tough, but my group still references my Dragonborn Vengeant Paladin because that was probably my most unique voice and personality. I'm terrible at doing voices. Whenever I try to do a voice, it automatically just like defaults to like my normal voice. I'm not good at voices. I liked playing my swashbuckling rogue because he was a little bit of like a little bit of a rake. Had a lot of charisma. I wish I had half the charisma that character does. Basically, I've seen a lot of clips and know a lot of the plot for both Campaign 1 and Campaign 3, but haven't started either. Just watched Calamity like a week ago. Perfect timing then. Watching Calamity and then seeing this episode, episode 6. So you're like fresh with a reference. Right now I'm playing a fish person artificer who keeps his armor full of water. Huh, like a reverse scuba diver. What's that character from? Oh, what's the movie called? Hellboy? Wasn't there a character in Hellboy that was kind of like that? Might be misremembering. Definitely know there's a character in what was that new DC animated show that came out that James Gunn did? I know there's a character in that. I haven't watched that show, but I know there's a character in that who had like a suit full of water for him to be able to walk on land. Abe Sapien. Is that the Hellboy character? Man, it's been so long since I've seen some of these movies. Guys, I have a channel called Movieverse. I love movies. I have a big collection of movies over here. You can kind of see it at the very edge of the screen. There's a lot of classics that I haven't seen, and there's a lot of movies that I've seen like way in the past that I just don't remember. Yeah, Creature Commandos. That's it. That's what I was trying to think of. I don't know what that character's name is though, but I need to watch some more classic movies, I think. I need to get Jason to watch Dungeons and Dragons. The what was that 2023 movie, 2024 movie? Carrie says, I ran a Curse of Strahd campaign for my friends, and now those characters have been referenced in our current campaign. That's dope. That's like what Matt was doing with campaign 3. Honor Among Thieves, yes. I love that movie. Yeah, I've got it over there. I love that movie. It was so good. I recently, because Avatar Ash and Water is coming out soon, I couldn't believe that I didn't have the first Avatar on Blu-ray, specifically 4K. So I got it on 4K. I need to watch this, and I need to rewatch the second one. I'll admit, like, I love this movie. I think I've only seen the second one like once in theaters, and I was kind of just like, "Huh?" It kind of felt like a repeat of the first movie, just slightly different. So I need to rewatch those two movies because that new one comes out next weekend. Oh yeah, and there's going to be a trailer for Doomsday with Ash and Fire next weekend, so I definitely need to see that. I do think it's fun. So for you guys who are probably here from my like Legend of Vox Machina Mighty Nine reactions, like this channel has been around since 2014, 2015. And so I used to talk a lot about movies. Recently though, like I've kind of just been doing like Critical Role stuff because I love Critical Role so much. So like when they were coming out with the animated series, I'm like, I have to do reactions to that. But before I started showing Jason Legend of Vox Machina, like all my stuff was trailer reactions. I'm just scrolling through my YouTube channel at this point. Channel reactions, movie news, movie reviews, unboxing for Marvel Collector Core, all kinds of stuff. So like I'm really into like the movies and Marvel and all that kind of stuff. I've gone to the movie theater like 28 or 29 times this year to see movies. So I've had plenty of ideas of like rebranding this channel to make it more like inclusive of everything that I'm like interested in. So it's not just movies, but like obviously like TV shows and games and stuff like that. But I haven't done that. I'm not the greatest with like Photoshop and everything like that. So if I was going to rebrand, I'd need to hire somebody to help me with that. Movie theaters in this economy? Yeah, I know. I know. Well, so part of it is because so really the best movie theater, in my opinion, that's around me is a Cinemark. And so I'm part of the Cinemark movie club. And so like with that, I get free credits every month. And so a lot of the movies that I've seen this year, I've just gone by myself to see them. And so I just use a free movie credit, and it's like, I think it's like $10 a month, something like that. So free movie every month. And then like, if I see something else, I'll buy the ticket, but then I also get a discount on concessions. So I was getting like 20% off on concessions with their movie club. And then I reached platinum status, and I have 25% off concessions. So saving where I can, but yeah, those free movie credits definitely help save movies. There's been times where it's like, I'll have a credit to use, and I'll just like see what's in theaters because I'm not really interested in anything. And I'm like, oh, I'll just pick a movie and go see it. Like I saw the new Naked Gun movie with Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson. I saw that, which I probably wouldn't have saw if I had to pay for it, but I had a free movie credit, and it was like the only thing in theaters that weekend. So I went and saw it. It was pretty funny. What else did I see? I saw Predator Badlands recently. I've wanted to see Wicked for good. I haven't seen that yet. I liked the first one. I've heard mixed reviews about the second one. There was something else I wanted to see that came out recently. Oh, I wanted to see Running Man, but I also heard mixed reviews about that as well. But I've got like 3 movie credits right now to use, so I should do that. Since we're here, would you guys, if I live streamed playing Baldur's Gate 3, would you guys be interested in that? Because I started playing it a while ago. Well, I started playing it not like right after it came out, but like soon after it came out. And I only really got up to the end of Act 1. But I don't really remember a lot of it. And honestly, like they came out with a patch that released like more like subclasses and stuff, and so they released a like swashbuckling rogue subclass. And so I've been kind of thinking about restarting it with a new class, because I've been playing a paladin, which I immediately broke my oath. But I was thinking about restarting Baldur's Gate 3 with a swashbuckling rogue class, and then trying to play that through, like all the way through, because I've only gotten through Act 1. So would there be any interest if I live streamed that sort of thing? Kay says, I'm not big on movies in general. I saw like 5 new movies in the last 3 years. Usually I just rewatch movies I liked. Like I've seen 12 Angry Men and Knocking on Heaven's Door like 7 or 8 times. 12 Angry Men sound familiar, but Knocking on Heaven's Door I don't think I've seen. Seeker, I enjoy watching people play Baldur's Gate 3. Awesome. Okay. Oath breaking is just part of the paladin experience, I feel. You know what's funny? I didn't even break it on purpose. Like, it was... let's see what happened. Okay, so it was like literally the very beginning of the game. The Illithid ship crashes. I'm like running through like the woods in the very beginning. I come across Lae'zel in a cage, and there's tieflings all around her, like saying that they're like gonna like kill her or attack her or something like that, right? And so I'm just like, oh, obviously, like the tieflings are the bad guys. Like I recognize that person from the trailers. I know that that person's supposed to be in my party, and these people have caught her and are trying to like kill her or whatever. And so I killed the tieflings. And right after that encounter, it was like, oath broken. I'm just like, wait, what? I just saved a person. How's my oath broken? And then I get to the camp later and I find out that it's like a whole camp of tieflings, and they're all like, you know, for the most part, nice people. And I just made a incorrect judgment based on the situation. Yep, that's literally the earliest possible point to break your oath, I think. I know. That's why when I got the notification, I'm like, wait, what? Like this has to be a record. So that was my Baldur's Gate 3 experience. I've heard great things about Act 2 and Act 3. I just um, got to a point where I couldn't play it because I was busy doing stuff. But now things have changed a little bit, so I feel like I have a little bit more time on my hands to devote to live streaming, that sort of thing. Because I was like, during 2020, 2021, I was trying to like live stream a bit with like Warzone and PUBG and stuff like that. I built my PC in 2020. So I've live streamed before with first person shooters, but my reaction time's not fast enough for Call of Duty anymore. And I don't feel like live streaming me getting my butt kicked every 2 minutes. So I think Baldur's Gate 3 would be a much more enjoyable experience. Which I haven't beat the game, but I have Baldur's Gate 3 like vinyl, and I listen to that. Like, that soundtrack is incredible. I've heard a lot of people like Expedition 33. I never played it, but I've seen a couple people play a little bit of it. Obviously, it just won Game of the Year. That's something I could probably break out too. I think I have more interest in Baldur's Gate 3 though. I think I'll probably stay on for about 25 more minutes. So if you guys have any questions or any other things that you want to talk about, Expedition 33 is very good, but Baldur's Gate 3 just has so much freedom and replayability, in my honest opinion. It captures the D&D feeling well. Yeah, that's why I liked playing it when I did, because it was essentially D&D in video game form. And I'm trying to remember, past years have just been running together, but like basically I treated Baldur's Gate 3 like, oh, when I can't get together with my friends to play D&D, I'll just play Baldur's Gate 3. It scratches that same itch in a way. A little bit. Not completely, but a little bit. But yeah, definitely enjoyed Baldur's Gate 3 when I played. Oh, and Larian just announced Divinity, right, at the Video Game Awards. So, and then I saw some rumors that it might not even be turn-based. Might just be like live action. Is live action the right phrase for that? Not a live action movie or anything, but like a kind of like a Assassin's Creed style combat, I guess. I don't know what you would call that. Yeah, Seeger, I think that's my issue whenever I see these like announcement trailers for games. I can't ever really get that excited because I don't know what kind of gameplay it's going to be or what kind of game it's going to be. Like there was a Tomb Raider game that also showed a trailer yesterday, but it wasn't gameplay. It was just like a CGI trailer. So then it's like, well, if it's like some of the other Lara Croft games that, you know, where you're running around exploring and all that kind of stuff, like I'd be really interested in that. But if it's one of those like Oh, I don't even know what they're called. I've seen a Lara Croft game that wasn't like the style of game that I'm into. So like if it's those style of games, I'm not really interested. But if it's like a adventure game, I'm down. Let's see. Do I have anything else to show you guys? Show and tell while we're on here. Unless you guys want to see my dice, I don't know. How many seasons do you think they'll have for Mighty Nine? It's kind of hard to say. Like obviously, Legend of Vox Machina, they've announced that season 5 is going to be its last season. So if Mighty Nine is as successful as Vox Machina, one could assume that it's going to be 5 seasons as well. But Mighty Nine campaign is also longer than Vox Machina campaign, so it could be longer as well. There are 6 arcs, so 6 seasons. That's quite possible, Carrie. Quite possible. Do you have a favorite Mighty Nine character? Asked Seeker. I feel like it changes sometimes. I feel like it's going to be recency biased that I say this, but like after episode 5, like Caleb is hitting hard for me. I mean, I have a bow and Ford statue. Granted, those were the first 2 statues that they put out for the Mighty Nine. I do like Ford. Although I will say, like, I don't know. It's a difficult question. Jester's great. It might be Caleb. That being said, we really haven't finished an arc this season, so it could be more. That's true. When would we say that that arc finished? Was it when they handed over the beacon? I mean, I do feel like the events in Zadash and them finding the beacon makes for a good season finale. So, like, it definitely makes sense that that's what they would end it with. I wonder, kind of wondering how long they had. Wonder how long they had the beacon before they handed it over. Seeker, I'm kind of the same way. Like, Vax is definitely my favorite character from Vox Machina. Caleb is. I think. I mean, it's kind of hard because you have your. Hate to say this, your favorite cast member, right? I really like Liam, so I tend to like his characters. So it's like if you, it depends on who you relate to, see yourself in, like those sorts of things. So in that way, it's like, yeah, Liam's characters are typically my favorite. Another thing that I just thought about when watching Campaign 2 originally, I always thought it was interesting that it's like they had the beacon and then they had the happy fun ball, right? And they are 2 different, like, very powerful, like, magical artifacts, but like they're both like very mysterious. And so I'm wondering, like, I don't know. I'm curious how like a general audience would react to those 2 specific magical artifacts. think they gave the beacon back in episode 58 or 59. Okay, so we got a while then until that happened. So they held onto the beacon for a long time. Okay. Because they went to the dynasty to save Yeza, correct? And then they got caught, and then that was kind of like their only bargaining chip. Grog is definitely my favorite in Vox Machina. I mean, yeah, that's the thing with all these characters, right? It's like splitting hairs because all the characters are great. It's just like, which one do you love the most? It's really difficult. Because Grog is great. Scalen's great. Keyleth's great. I love Vex. Percy. Percy and Vax are kind of like, I think, the two for me that are like closest, I think. In Vox Machina, like in one of my most recent campaigns that I played in, I played a gunslinger. Different vibe from Percy, but still a gunslinger. Yes, that was after the pirate arc. Okay. Yeah, okay. I feel like the pirate arc was one of my least favorite, if I'm being honest. But it was also the arc that I kind of, like I was watching it, I was kind of getting bored and I wanted to get caught up. And so then I started like reading the recaps or watching the recaps, reading the recaps that Danny was doing to get caught up, and then watched and then kind of like went back. I think, did I go back when they had their hiatus during 2020? I don't know, but I remember I ended up going back to watch the pirate arc. I do remember that. But I will admit the pirate arc is probably the one that I remember the least amount about. I mean, I remember Avantika, like you can't not know a character like that, but oh guys, I just remembered I should show you. Because I was planning on doing like a, when I went to Chicago, I cosplayed as Matt at the live show. And then I went to the live show in Indianapolis a few months later and I cosplayed as Matt again. So I feel like I need to show you guys my Matt cosplay while we're here. If I can. If you'll humor me. And if you guys have watched Campaign 2, I think you should notice these. Like I'm going for a very specific Matt outfit here. Let's see if I can get it to show up on the camera really well. I remember the big fight with Avantika being pretty good. Yes, I also remember that. Let's see. Hopefully it... There we go. There's my Matt cosplay. I didn't commit enough to shave my beard. But I still tried to be as authentic as I could with the shirt and the vest and the wristbands. A really cheap wig off Amazon. But it worked. It did the job. Yes, that shirt and vest combo. Exactly. Exactly. I was just like, it essentially became a whole thing, right? So I'm just like, if I'm going to cosplay as Matt, like that's the version that I want to go as. It was fun. When I went to the live show in Chicago, there weren't a lot of Matt cosplayers. There were a couple, but there weren't a lot. Then I saw a couple at the Indianapolis live show. It was a good time. I cast Wall of Fire across the boat. It's still one of my favorite cliffhangers. Yeah. I don't think that's going to be a... But I do think they're going to end an episode with that for sure. It's like I can imagine them ending the episode where it's like he casts wall of fire, everybody jumps off the ship, and like they're regrouping as like it cuts to credits. Like they're all about to die. Cast wall of fire. They haul ass out of there. And episode cuts. I can see that happening for sure. Maybe the final episode will be Harvest Close Festival. Talking about final episode of season 1? I mean, when they arrived in Zadash, this episode, it said Harvest Close. I mean, Harvest Close is what was happening when the Zadash heist happened, right? So, like, that makes sense. I could be wrong. I will admit, like, my memory is pretty bad. So, it's hard for me to remember things sometimes. Oh, right, because that's where we met Trent in the campaign. Oh, yeah, because Trent was talking to Yasha, right? They enter the victory pit. And that's where they meet Yasha. Huh. Interesting. Would that be next episode then? Maybe next episode is literally like, it's supposed to be like a fun episode, right? Where it's like they get back to the gentleman, they complete his job, they give him they get a bunch of money, they get his amulet to hide. Go shopping at Pumat's. Meet Yasha. I don't know. Because it's like the penultimate episode though, right? So like you would think that the end of the episode they would probably want to up the stakes a little bit to then have a very intense finale, but I could be wrong. But I just found this. So I have a bottle of courage, right? Up there on the top shelf. And when I got that, I also got this courage pin. I don't know if you can. That is terrible lighting. There we go. Let's just turn into show and tell. Just showing you guys all my goodies. What do you think, guys? Do I have enough Critical Role nerd cred? It's a joke. Meeting Yasha in a victory pit would be interesting. I'm curious how Yasha would get there, being under the control of Oban. Maybe she's there because she's trying to get closer to the mages, and if Trent is there, that could draw her there. I don't know. Seeker, I think your credit's good. I appreciate that. I might be slightly obsessed. Maybe. I'll probably get off this live stream. When I get off this live stream, I'll probably start trying to catch up on the campaign 4 episodes I'm behind on. Just relax and chill. The only thing I haven't done yet, I don't have a Critical Role tattoo yet. We'll see. I don't have any tattoos. Maybe that'll be one of my first ones. Maybe I'll get a Gmail Vox Machina tattoo. That'd be hilarious. You just really like Gmail? I'm behind on C4 too. I fall asleep too early now. You know what's funny is I actually go to sleep later now than I used to, and I'm still behind. But, I mean, you know, obviously they're going to be off next week, so I have some time to get caught up. Do you think Trent seeing Caleb could be the next episode's end? I feel like they had a conversation in the trailer, and since Astrid knows he's around. That's an interesting question because Astrid does know that he's around. However, she didn't tell Aedwulf. I usually pass out during the break. Carrie, honestly, that's probably like the best. That's what I was doing for a while. Is I would watch like the beginning of this campaign. I was watching the first half, and then I would go to bed, and then like I would finish it like that weekend, and I kind of fell off that for some reason. So I need to get back on that habit. I think it's also because I've been seeing movies and stuff too. So I've been splitting my time. I have too many hobbies to focus solely on one. And yeah, watching Critical Role episodes are 4 hours a piece. So that's a very time consuming hobby, but I still do it. Yeah. As far as like the Astrid knowing, if it's Harvest Close, if they're going to do that trope, right, where they're like going to like a festival or whatever, it'd be really interesting. I know that Caleb and Astrid didn't dance until later in the campaign. However, they did have that flashback where they danced. And so I'm wondering if them dancing in that flashback was their way of setting it up for the idea of like them dancing at a festival as like a way of them like seeing each other across the way, dancing to have a talk. Trent sees them. He approaches and talks to Caleb, like that sort of trope type of thing. I think that would be interesting. But then what would Trent do to Astrid for knowing that Caleb was, I don't know. It brings up questions. But theories. I like this. This is why we're here. We're here to talk about theories. Got about 5 minutes left. Yeah, so I think I'm definitely gonna try to live stream more. I can do like a mix of like just chatting streams or maybe playing some Baldur's Gate 3 or maybe a mix of the two, like where I'll chat for a little bit and I'll play some games, Baldur's Gate 3, and then we'll see how things go. I could also, I mean, I wonder like when I get caught up if anybody would be interested in like having streams where we talk about campaign 4 as well. We could do that. I even thought about reacting to the Supergirl trailer, but I didn't do that. I have a pretty decent process with these reactions for the episodes. I think Caleb will visit the library. With Bo. It's a good question. I don't think so. I don't think he will. I think that comes later. I think. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen next episode. I don't think it's going to happen in the season finale. I think it might happen after they have the beacon. They might try to research it. And I think Bo could take him to the library then. I don't think they would have a reason to go to the library in the next episode, personally. But yeah, I could do some live streams where I talk about like actual Critical Role episodes. I could do like chatting / gaming gaming streams. I don't know. I'm gonna play around, see what people like. So I got some time on my hands. I could do some stuff. Be a lot of fun. But I definitely enjoyed hanging out with you guys tonight, for sure. Maybe they overhear that the king has declared war. Well, I'll say this about that. So the Bright Queen already said, return the beacon or it's all out war, right? She sends her troops to take the fort. And then they show up with the beacon, confirming that they have the beacon, and then use said beacon to kill a whole platoon of soldiers. I think that is the declaration of war. So, yeah, maybe they overhear that event. Like, they hear that event has happened. If they don't hear that he's declared war, well, guess what? When the Tri-Spires are attacked, like, that's a pretty good indication that war has begun. I'm more interested to see what Essek does with his friend. Because now he knows that Essek helped steal the beacon, right? So either his friend's going to be like, oh yeah, I'm on your side completely. I totally understand. Or the more likely scenario is, you're a traitor. You stole the beacon. You have to be reported. And then Essek has to kill his friend. And it's just another step that Essek has to take, going darker and darker to save his mom, which I think is more interesting. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for this live stream. Thanks to everyone. Yeah, Essek is in a pickle for sure. Thank you to everyone who showed up, who chatted, who hung out with me. It was a lot of fun. I hope to do more of these in the future. And I will make announcements when I do go to live stream, whether that be in a video that is posted or I'll make a post on my YouTube feed. You guys can follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, Movie Online, or on Twitter it's Movie Online, but without the E because Twitter only allows you so many characters in your username, in your Twitter handle. On Blue Sky, on Threads. Like, if you want to follow me wherever, follow me. And yeah, you guys will definitely hear of the next time that I'm going live for you guys to come and hang out. And yeah, more reactions on the way. So keep an eye out for that as well. All right. Thanks, Seeker. Thanks, Easter. Thanks, Carrie. Thanks, Wisconsin sports fans. Thanks, everyone who showed up today to chat and have a good time. Appreciate every single one of you. And I'll catch you guys next time.